Hello friends, welcome to this session, and in this session we are going to start uh, this national income lecture 2, right? So in the earlier session we discussed some of the basic concepts. For example, we discussed the meaning of national income, what are the different factors of production, what are the different economic agents, circular flow of income, the three methods of estimation of national income. We were here basically, right? So in this session we will discuss this brief overview of these three methods, and then we will start with the first method, that is the expenditure method. And in this method we will discuss two sector economy, three sector economy, four sector economy, and then we will discuss the national income formula as per the expenditure method, right? So first of all, there are three methods of estimation of national income. The first method is the output or value added or production method. So on the demand side, when the goods and services are being supplied by a firm to the household, then this is output or value added or production method. Secondly, we have income method. Income method represents the situation where the factors of production are being paid by the firms. Third is the expenditure method. This expenditure method reflects those transactions where the households are paying the amount to the firms for the goods and services that they have purchased from the firms. So we can use any of these methods, and depending upon the convenience with which we can use each of these methods, right? So each of these methods can be used, however the choice will depend upon the convenience. So for example, if we can calculate the expenditure in agriculture sector, then expenditure method is relevant for the agriculture sector. If we can calculate the income of the tertiary sector, then income method is relevant for the tertiary sector. In the tertiary sector, it may not be possible to calculate the value added or output. I'm not saying that, I'm just giving you different scenarios, right? So what is actually happening, we will discuss in the upcoming discussion, but I'm giving you an idea that can we calculate the expenditure, can we calculate the income, can we calculate the production. Depending upon that, we have to see three methods. Now friends, what these three methods are representing, I want to give you a practical overview. So if you want to calculate my income, how will you calculate my income, the income of a the person who is teaching? So can you take few seconds and see that what are the way outs through which you can calculate my income, and then I will tell you these three different methods. So there are three different ways by which you can calculate my income. One is, if you know my expenditure, am I spending 1 lakh rupees, am I spending 50,000, how much I am spending? So that is one way you can judge my income, and that method is called expenditure method. Another way can be that how much amount I am getting from my students, that is my income. So another method can be income method. Third, what is the value of goods and services being provided by me, being produced by me? So goods means the study material, services means the lecture in which I am teaching to you. So what is the value of these goods and services? That is also one way of calculating my income, right? So there can be three different methods, and I am the same person, I am doing the same activity, but my income can be calculated from three different perspectives. So these are three different perspective. However, my income will remain same. If my income is rupees 1 lakh, then it will be coming as rupees 1 lakh. Can we, whether we calculate by production method, or we calculate by income method, or we calculate by expenditure method. Method can be any, but income will remain same by all the methods. However, which method to use, that will depend upon which data I can provide to you. If I can provide you the data of expenditure, then you can calculate my income by the expenditure method. If I can provide you data of my income, you can calculate by that method. Or if I can tell you what is the value of my activities, then you can calculate by that also. So that choice is with the person who is calculating, right? And similarly, these three methods are applied in the national income. In different sector, we can choose any particular method or a combination of method and calculate the income in that particular sector. However, from whichever method we calculate the income, it will remain same. The income amount will remain same. The method can be any, right? Now, so first is the value added method, or this is also known as the production method or output method. So here we are calculating the income of the person based upon the goods and services. Here it is the income method, and then we have the final expenditure method. For each of these methods, there are different parameters, right? There are different indicators. What are those indicators? So the indicators that are there for the value added method, these indicators are GVA, gross value added, GDP, gross domestic product, NDP, national domestic product. These are the major three indicators in the value added method. In the income method, it includes GNP, gross national product, NNP, net national product. These are the two major indicators. Apart from that, there are other indicators also. For example, gross national disposable income and so on, right? In the expenditure method, there is a formula through which we calculate the income. This formula we will study just after this particular slide, right? So there are different indicators, and all of those indicators are actually calculating the national income from different perspectives. First, we will start with this final expenditure method, and after that we will go with this value added method, and in the last we will discuss the income method. In this way we will be discussing all these methods. So first, the expenditure method. So in this method, first let us see who are the players in the economy, right? When I am calculating an individual's income, it is very easy, because you can see how much I am consuming and how much I am saving. Both are my expenditure, right? How much so whatever income I have, either I will consume or I will keep in my pocket. There are two different ways. Similarly, we need to see the consumption and savings for all the important economic players, right? So who are the economic players? Who are the economic agents? The first economic agent is household. Another economic agent is the firm. The third economic agent is the government. And the fourth economic agent is the foreign sector, right? These are the possible different important players, right? When we see the economy only from the perspective of household and the firm, that is, we are actually calculating the income from just two perspectives, the household and firm, the income of household and firm. This is called two-sector economy. When we consider the government also, apart from household and firm, then this is called three-sector economy. And when we consider all four, which includes household, firm, government and foreign sector, then this is called four sector economy. So we will see the calculation of national income in two sector economy, in three sector economy and in four sector economy, right? So in the expenditure method, what is the process? We add up all the expenditure made on goods and services by all economic agents. So the expenditure which is done by all economic agents, we see that. And we see that in two sector economy where the household and firm, these are the two players. In three sector, a closed economy. Why do we say that it is a closed economy? Because here we are not considering the foreign sector. We are assuming that economy is closed. There is no interaction with the outside countries. So here, apart from the household and firms, we will add the government also. And third, the fourth sector or open economy, where along with that we will also add the foreign sector. Right? So these are the different perspectives. Now, the first perspective, two sector economy. So in the two sector economy, there are two players, household plus firm. So there is no government and there is no foreign sector. It is very clear, it is very easy. So we have household and we have firms. And this circular flow of income, we can see that here there is factor inputs, the four factors of production, they are giving the input and they are getting the payment in return. So this is the factor payment. Similarly here in the bottom, the goods and services are being supplied by the firm to the household and in return these household are expending some money, right? Now this is the circular flow of income we have already seen, nothing new here. Till now we assumed that whatever money the households were receiving in terms of factor payment. So what is the income of the household? The income of the household is this factor payment, right? The money they are receiving in the form of wages, the money they are receiving in the form of rent, interest, etc. So this is their income and we are assuming that this income is equal to this expenditure that they are doing on the goods and services. So if they are earning rupees 100, they are expending rupees 100. There is no saving. This is our assumption naturally. But in the practical world, is it true? No. In the practical world, every person saves some amount of money in his pocket or deposits in the bank for the future purpose. Am I right or wrong? Yes, I am being practical. So practically, every person saves some money. So that money which is saved is a kind of leakage from this circular flow, right? So this circular flow, which was coming from firms to the household and then from household going back to the firms, from this circular flow of income, this savings from the household with the bank, this is purely a leakage. This is a leakage, right? So this should be reduced from the this income. However, it is part of the total income. Or if suppose I am saving 20 rupees as a saving, that means this expenditure will now become 80 rupees. So if we consider only expenditure, then we will not be able to calculate the appropriate income. So to calculate the appropriate income, we need to add this 20 and 80. 20 plus 80, we need to add these two. And when we add these two, then this 100 rupees will be the appropriate amount. This 100 rupees will be the appropriate amount, right? Now, this 20 rupees which have been kept by the household into his bank account, the bank will give that money to the firms, right? So what is the business of bank? The business of bank is to receive the money from the customer and then give it as the loan to another customer. And these other customers are mostly the businessmen who are requiring the capital for their business investment. So this 20 rupees has actually given by the bank to the firm. And what firm is doing? Firm is investing this money. Investment means firm is buying some new machinery, constructing some new building, adding to some research and development. So the firm is actually doing some investment activity. The firm is actually buying some investment property so that the overall capacity of production can be enhanced. When firm is buying a machinery, then the production capacity of the factory is increased. When the firm is buying a building, then the overall production capacity of the firm is increased. So whatever activity increases the production capacity, that is the investment amount, right? That amount will be counted as the investment, not as the consumption expenditure. So in the consumption expenditure, the amount is consumed. In the investment, the firm is able to increase its production capacity, right? So this 20 rupees saving, which was derived from the household pocket, has actually gone to the firm's pocket, right? So can we say that one way is that we add this expenditure, consumption expenditure, into the saving, then it is also 100 rupees, or another way is we add this consumption expenditure of rupees 20, so 80, and 20 rupees of investment, and that also gives us rupees 100, which is the income, right? Here we are assuming that savings is equal to investment. We are assuming the entire amount which is being saved by the household, the 100% amount is deposited into the bank. The household do not have it in the cash form. Second, the bank is lending entire money. The bank is not having any reserve with itself. The bank is lending entire 100% money to the businessman for the investment. This is our basic assumption, right? However, in the practical world, it does not happen this way. There is some kind of cash within the household and some amount is also held by the bank. But for the sake of understanding, we are assuming that this savings is equal to investment, right? So can we say that if we have to calculate the national income as per the expenditure method, we can add this consumption expenditure, and this investment expenditure, right? That will be the income. So the formula in case of two sector economy will be Y equal to C plus 1, where Y means the national income, C means the private consumption, right? Private consumption means the consumption expenditure done by the private household. And when I say private, the word private means the non-governmental. That means we are not considering the government. So in the two sector there is no government. Obviously it is the private. The another name given to this private consumption spending is private final consumption expenditure. So this is the alternate name given to the private consumption spending, right? This is the alternate name given to the private consumption spending.